Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Mr. Analyst. Of course, I'm Leighton Levy, your host. Now, as promised yesterday, we're going to take a look back at the Gulev István Memorial today in Hungary, where some amazing performances from Jamaica's athletes, and of course from Jerry Richards from Trinidad and Tobago as well. Let's start with the big news. There's a young man by the name of Bran Leville, former Edward Allen, now being coached by Shaniki Osborne, who at the national championships earlier this year in June ran 19.79 wind dated, and people are wondering, is this real? Can he actually do this again? But since that time, he's dropped his personal best from 997 or 994 to 9.82, and then today 19.69 in a minus 0.4 wind, making him the third fastest Jamaican of all time. Only Usain Bolt and Johan Blake have run faster at 19.19 and 19.26 respectively. That is ridiculous, considering that we're a month away from the World Championships, and he's certainly carrying some level of load. Meaning, when I say load, meaning a lot of work coming into this meet, which means that his legs are probably not the freshest, his body is not necessarily the freshest as well. So you're looking at an extraordinary performance in the sense that it now puts him in the realm of medal contenders in Tokyo at the World Championships, because when you look at Noah Lyles, 19.63 this year, Kenny Beglerat, 19.67, and of course Leslie Tobogo, the Olympic champion, you can't overlook him. What we are seeing from Bran Leville right now is that he will be in the mix. If we can replicate what we saw today in a final in 4 weeks, just over 4 weeks, he will be contending for a medal in Tokyo. And it's been a while since we've had a 200-meter runner who has been contending. The last person I remember was Usain Bolt. Now, the significance of that as well is that we're seeing a Bran Leville what 982 and potentially faster right now as well. Looking at somebody potentially capable of running 9.7 something, which then, remember my first video, I had this thing about the Jamaicans, the combined times of the Jamaicans running for the 4x1. Now that's even faster, because you're looking at a potential Kishan Thompson 9.7, oblique Seville 9.7, of course Bran Leville 9.7, and of course we can't overlook Akeem Blake, who ran 10.04 for fourth today. It's going to be incredible if they can get this practice in and get to stick around. Certainly Jamaica is in line not just to win gold, but certainly looking like they can challenge the world record. Now let's turn to the women. Ashanti Moore came to the national championships as somewhat of an unknown factor. Remember, let's go back to 2020 when she and Kevona Davis were set for what was expected to be an epic clash at champs that year, but the COVID-19 pandemic intervened. We never saw that clash. In the interim, Ashanti Moore went abroad and waffled around and wasn't making any progress. She came back home last season and started working with Sprintech. What we're seeing now is a gradual improvement and a closer manifestation of what her true potential is. 10.94 last week, now 22.31 today, down from her previous record of personal best of 22.40 that was just a couple of weeks ago. So she's running into shape as well. The women's 100 meters was a little bit disappointing, but at the same time, I understand why we saw the times, and I'll explain it along with Kishan Thompson's 9.95 that we saw today as well. What we saw was Marie Jose Talu winning in 10.97, Tina Clayton 10.99, Sherika Jackson 11 seconds flat, and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce 11.07. Alongside that, we saw Kishan Thompson win in a relatively pedestrian 9.95. What that tells me, along with the performance of Shade Williams, who was, I think, sixth in the 451.3, is that they are currently going through a heavy training block, meaning that there's a lot of work going on in their final preparation for the World Championships. So I wouldn't be particularly too worried about the times. What is a little bit disappointing, however, is that for Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce and the fans of Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce out there who were expecting her, I was expecting her to run a little bit faster today. And because I think she's probably on a similar program where she's coming out of a heavy week of preparation, so her legs are not as fresh. So we're probably expecting Shelley to run somewhere in the region of maybe 10:8, 10:8 something at Tokyo. Whether or not that's good enough to get her into the final or get her on the podium is a different matter. Sherika Jackson similarly, 11 flat is not gonna make anybody jump for joy, but it certainly tells you that she's probably in a mode right now, so she's set to improve. How much improvement will we see in the next 4 weeks? We don't know. What we do know is that there are two women who have been talking about all season long who are much faster, and those women are running under load as well. So if they're running 10.6s and 10.7s, and Sherika's at 11 seconds flat 4 weeks out, does she really have a shot at challenging anybody for the gold medal in Tokyo? I'm not going to say no. What I will do say is that she will be better. How much better is going to depend on what her program looks like for the next 4 weeks and whether or not she'll be running fast enough to challenge the top two women in the world. In fact, the top 3 or 4 women in the world, because you have Kayla White who's run 10.84. You have Tina Clayton who's run 10.81 and who was ahead of her again today in 10.99. So she has a lot of people to get through to get onto the podium based on what we're seeing now. But certainly what we saw today from Bran Leville was absolutely extraordinary. That's something that makes a lot of us excited. I am very excited, and we're just eager to see what he does next once Shaniki Osborne, lets him loose in 4 weeks' time. Before I close, I wanted to say, commiserations to the family of Stephen Gardner, who lost his dad on the weekend in a car accident. Unfortunately, he's been going through a lot these past few years. Injuries that have kept him out of 3 major championships and now losing his father. So, our commiserations. But one thing I forgot. Jereme Richards last year ran 43.78 for 4th at the Olympic Games. Just missing out on the podium. That's the fastest time ever run by anybody to finish 4th in a major championships, in any championship whatsoever. 41.14 today tells me that he's back on track again to run fast again in Tokyo. And with the Olympic champion not there this year, maybe, just maybe, Jereme Richards can get that extra few fractions of a second to get onto the podium. I close by saying, no, lads, Kenny Begler, let's see Tobago. Look out, because there's a young man from Jamaica called Bran Leville, and he's coming fast. Until next time, this is Leighton Levy saying goodbye from another episode of Mr. Analyst. Please remember to subscribe, share, and of course like our content. Keep on subscribing, and of course keep on sharing and keep on commenting. We appreciate every comment, every like. Bye-bye.